Dear beloved viewers, welcome back. We are discussing Zakat with respect to, we started this episode by looking at the, elaborating on the amount of Zakat that should give for livestock, and we ended before a short break discussing about Zakat on shares, that shares are also eligible for Zakat if they meet a certain conditions. Companies are also eligible to Zakat. If a company is owned by Muslims, they can choose that it is the company that pays Zakat, or each of the shareholder pays Zakat by himself. Okay, and there is broader calculation methodology on how to calculate Zakat for an individual shareholder, and also there are different methodologies on calculating Zakat for a companies, which this episode is not prepared to discuss those methodologies in detail, but you can refer to Islamic finance scholars to guide you on how to calculate Zakat for your share as well as for your company. Now, we want to start another part which is very important in the fiqh of Zakat. The previous episodes, we talked about which form of assets, how is Zakat calculated, and so on. This is calculation side of the fiqh of Zakat, but the other equally important side is the distribution side of Zakat. That is, what do you give? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't left this question to chances, to wishful thinking, to our own desires, but He was very categorical to mention those who are eligible, those who qualify to be given Zakat. And scholars have discussed about these beneficiaries in depth, of which it will be our subject for the coming episode. So we'll start with the verse that is all agreed upon, that establishes the beneficiaries of Zakat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Surah At-Tawbah, that is chapter 9, verse 60, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله إلى آخر الآية. So in this verse, Allah categorically mentioned 8 categories of those who are eligible to be given Zakat. The first category is faqir, the poor, or sometimes is referred to as a needy. Okay, and then masakin is the poor, and we will discuss about them in few minutes to come. So the first is the needy, the poor is the second one. Then al-amilina alayha, those who work for it, these are collectors of Zakat, those who are advising on calculating, actually those who are calculating and collecting Zakat. Normally these are employees of the state. In an Islamic state, these are specific individuals that are being hired by the Islamic State to do this work, amilina alayha. But we shall discuss as well the emerging issues with regards to amilina in our secular state. Do we still have amilina alayha or not? Then it is mu'allafat qulubuhum. These are those who have reverted to Islam. And also there's a broader discussion under this category. Then the fifth one, al-riqab, those that are set free from slavery. Again, going to discuss about this category in detail as to do we have them, or what are other forms of slavery of which some scholars have considered to be falling under this category. But generally, this is to free the slaves. Zakat money can be used to buy a believing slave and is set free. Wal-gharimina, this is indebted person, the person who is indebted beyond his capacity to pay. And of course, there are conditions that needs to be met for this indebted person, because today with our with the access to loans and with the some ill-advised lifestyles, people engaging themselves in luxurious lifestyle which is financed by debts. Okay, so we'll need to really set out conditions clearly so that they are known who are the al-gharimin in this particular case that can be given zakat. Then fi sabilillah, these are the fighters in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But again, there are broader discussions as to who are the other people or individuals that qualifies under this category of fi sabilillah. We have seen proper uses and misuses of fi sabilillah with regards to distribution of zakat. So there will be a discussion. We'll discuss about this category based on the past scholars and contemporary scholars. And the 8th category is Ibn Sabil. Okay, this is a traveler that is in trouble. A traveler that's in trouble. He traveled from his city to another city and he faced some challenges. Either he lost some of his financial resources to support him along the way, or maybe he was robbed, or maybe other troubles that can face somebody along the way. He can also be assisted with zakat money in order to enable him complete his journey. And again, there are conditions with respect to this person. Is he a person who is still in his town? Because today we hear some people will come to the masajid and say, we are going to do propagation of Islam and we need your donation. And they will say, even zakat, you can give us zakat so that we prepare for the travel to go and do the dawah in other places, and we are Ibn Sabil. Is that correct? That you are in your own town, okay, and you say you are Ibn Sabil for taking zakat money in order to go to another town? Or Ibn Sabil is the person who has already left his town and he faces trouble along the way? We shall see some of these issues, and we should appreciate that there could be different opinions among scholars on this subject. But inshallah ta'ala, when we reach there, we shall talk about it in detail. So, dear viewers, the first category of beneficiary of zakat, these are faqir and miskin. Now, a faqir, there are different views again among scholars. Al-Ghazali, Imam Al-Ghazali considered a faqir as the person who doesn't have any wealth. And even some of them are incapacitated, say a handicap, okay, and has no means of livelihood. According to Imam Al-Ghazali, a person who doesn't have wealth, okay, or doesn't have capacity to earn livelihood. Others say that faqir is a person who has some income but is very small to satisfy his needs, not wants, needs. These are necessities, daruriyati. He doesn't have financial resources or wealth that enable him to meet his needs. So a person could be in need for a day of, say, 200 shilling for him to meet his needs, necessities, that is food, and he only gets 50. He does laborer here and there. He might get 50, sometimes he get 100, he get 150. Ala kulli hal, he doesn't get what he needs, okay, for his necessities. So this is another view of scholars, including Imam Shafi'i, Malik, and Hanafi. They consider that faqir is any person who might have some source of income but fall short of his necessities, of his daruriyat. And masakin is a person who has sources of income that is closer to meeting his needs. So in percentage wise, some scholars say that he has almost above 50% of what he needs. So he, like, if he needs 1,000, he has at some point 500, is able to get 500 to 900. Okay, so this is maskin. So faqir and maskin, would say, if we combine them together as the categories of beneficiary, this could be a person who is handicapped, has no ability to earn a livelihood, and has maybe no any supporter, no any person that is depending to look for him. Okay, it could be a person who is unemployed, doesn't have job, is jobless, okay, and he doesn't have any sources of income. He is, mashallah, not handicapped, he's looking for a job, but he hasn't yet obtained a work. But also, under this category of faqir and miskin, it could be a person who has a job, but the salary doesn't meet his necessities, doesn't meet his needs. Okay, it falls short of what he requires. So, for example, if you look at his rent, you look at his food, you look at his clothing needs, and so on, he doesn't earn a salary that is enough to meet the necessities of his family or of himself. So his income falls short of his necessities, not wants, because there are wants, these are beautiful things to have, but we can live without. But here we are talking about necessities. These are basic needs that a person would need to live a honorable life. And they also include a person here who might be having some assets. Okay, it is very possible, and I personally encountered this. A person might have farms, but doesn't grow anything to give him income. Or he has some properties, and the rental income that he gets is still smaller. So though in the eyes of other people will see that he has buildings, he has rental properties, but the actual fact is those rented properties doesn't give him enough rental income to meet his needs. So we should not just be judging people based on the some of these are what we call white elephant assets. Somebody might have an asset, but actually it doesn't generate any income out of that to support himself or his needs. So all these categories of people would fall in one way or the other under the category of either faqir or miskin. So we should pay attention to this category, understand who they are, and in order for us to do justice for this category, definitely there is a need for due diligence. In our society these days, it is very easy. People come begging. Begging has become a culture. It's good and important, especially if you want to give zakat, you must give zakat to a person who meets this condition. Not every beggar is faqir or maskeen. You really have to do your homework if you want your zakat to be acceptable. If you give zakat to a wrong person, then you haven't given out zakat. This is the position of the scholars. If you give your zakat to a wrong person, you haven't given zakat. So you're supposed to give another zakat. And if you don't do that, you are sinful. Basically, you haven't fulfilled the duty of zakat. So it's very important for us to make sure those that we give our zakat, they fall under the 8 categories. And in those 8 categories, they are the people that qualifies. Okay, you can just say, I'm Ibn Sabil, I'm a traveler. But scholars have established the conditions for who is a traveler, eligible to be given zakat, and who is not. You can just say, I'm a gharimin, I have debts. Okay, but which kind of debts are you having? Okay, and are you really not able to pay those debts? So we need to pay attention to this discussion that we have started today, talking about beneficiaries of zakat, so that we get to understand who are these beneficiaries that we need to give to, so that we fulfill our ibadah properly. Until we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.